What's up, high school house parties? House parties were awesome last week, and so glad you're a part of it. So thankful for our awesome hosts and leaders, and for you guys who are leaning in to help make it so great. We're in a series called This Is My Campus, and hopefully this past week you've been seeing your school differently. Hopefully you've been feeling differently about your school, your classes, practices, hallways, and the kids who fill them all. Our goal is not to view our school as somewhere we have to be, but instead somewhere God has specifically placed you. Somewhere God has placed you to make a difference, to have an impact for Him, to change things, to flip the spiritual climate there, and to help others find a full life in Jesus. Because remember, chaos is a movement, not an event. We aren't just house parties in Rush. We're a group of students and leaders who are on a mission to flip the spiritual climate of Camden County schools. And we want to lead disconnected and unfulfilled students to find a full life in Jesus. We want our schools and our county to be different, and we want to make a difference. And the way we're going to do that is by leading people to find a full life in Jesus, like we found ourselves. And Rush and House Party are just meant to move that mission forward. This is why God has placed you right where you are. God made you for this moment and this moment for you. He placed you at Camden County High School to make a difference for Him. And the biggest way that we can make a difference is by living differently, by living like Jesus, by loving those around us like Jesus loves us, by loving our neighbor like the Good Samaritan. We've been looking at this story Jesus told about the Good Samaritan. He told this story to show us who our neighbor really is and what it looks like to love them. And last week we talked about how we have to see those around us and feel compassion for them. Hey, we can't love and care for people we don't even notice, right? And we won't love and care for people we don't feel anything for. Our heart for people should line up with God's heart for people. But the Good Samaritan didn't just see someone. He didn't just feel bad for someone. He took action. He did something for them. When we look at the story, we see the first two guys, man, they just kept walking. They saw the guy in need, either didn't care or didn't care enough to stop, and they didn't do anything. But the Samaritan stepped in. He took action, right? Luke 10, verse 33 starts by saying this, "But a Samaritan on his journey came up to him when he saw the man in need. He had compassion. He went over to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on olive oil and wine, and then he put him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. And the next day, he took out 2 denarii, that's money, gave them to the innkeeper and said, hey, take care of him. When I come back, I'll reimburse you for whatever extra you spend." Okay, so the Good Samaritan did a lot. He didn't just help this guy. He did one incredible, selfless thing after another, even to the point where he had to go, but he was willing to pay more when he returned for a man he didn't know, for a guy who was technically kind of his enemy. He loved his neighbor well. He took action, and he did so much. People might have thought he was kind of crazy, but he saved this guy's life. And to really create a movement and accomplish the mission Jesus has given us, I think we have to do the same. We need to see people. We need to feel for them. But most importantly, we need to do something about it. We have to take action. Love is our compassion for others in action. I mean, what good is it to see others, to feel compassion for them, if we do nothing about it? If we simply cross to the other side of the road and keep walking because we just have too much going on. James talks about this later in the New Testament. In James chapter 2, verse 14, James writes this, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but does not have works? Can such a faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothes and lacks daily food, and one of you says to them, hey, go in peace, stay warm and be well fed, but you don't give them what they need, what good is it? In the same way, faith, if it does not have works, is dead by itself." What James is saying here is that if we know Jesus, our actions will show it. If we really know Jesus and we've experienced His love, our actions will demonstrate that. Because what good is it to see someone in need, someone struggling or disconnected or unfulfilled, and not do anything? We may notice and feel bad, but if all we do is pat them on the back and say, hey, good luck out there, I'm thinking of you, but we do nothing else, what does that really do? How did we really help? Did we love them like we're called to do? The Good Samaritan certainly did more than that. Because here's the thing, a movement requires action. Nothing changes unless we take action, unless we step up. A movement isn't a movement unless we actually move. And just seeing people and feeling for people isn't enough. It's where we need to start, for sure, but it's not where we end. We have to allow it to motivate us to do something, to step into people's lives and serve them. So now we have to figure out, what exactly does it look like? What does it look like to take action for those around us? What does it look like for us to step into the lives of the people God has placed in our path? What does it look like to love our neighbor at Camden County High School? Students all over your school are disconnected. They feel alone, they feel isolated, they feel hopeless. And I think loving our neighbor can be as simple as interacting with someone we may not normally interact with. We take the time to say hi. We ask how they're doing. We see if they need help with their homework or in that class project, or we sit with them at lunch or at the game where we invite them to sit with us. I think it looks like building relationships. We're showing and demonstrating with our actions that we care for someone. We're being a friend. All this stuff we are doing can be seen and as just being a friend to someone. We're listening to them, talking to them, helping them with school projects, being kind and encouraging and helpful, and serving them. And serving someone is as simple as putting their needs before our own. It can look like sitting with someone we don't normally sit with, standing up for someone no one else will, or helping someone even if it doesn't help ourselves. And this kind of friendship isn't very normal. Like a bunch of students treating others this way isn't common. And when other people wonder, hey, why are we doing that? Why are they doing what they're doing? Why are we seeing people like this? Why do we care? Why do we serve? Why do we do this? We can point them to the why. And that's Jesus. We can tell them about how everything changed for us when we met Jesus. How through him, we learned that we are loved and we're valuable and forgiven and changed. We have joy. We have a full life because of him. And now we want others to have that too. We can invite them to know and follow Jesus for themselves. We are living to invite them to a new life. Taking action eventually leads us to being able to invite others. But remember, it's not just about like inviting people to events. It's about inviting them to a new life found in Jesus. And don't get me wrong, inviting someone to Rush or house parties or church on Sunday is a great thing. We should definitely do that. But the mission is not to invite people to events. It's to lead them to Jesus. And the events can help someone know Jesus for sure. But how much more powerful is it if someone is living in a way that shows them Jesus every day? How much more interested in Jesus would someone be when they see hope and joy and love that Jesus brings in your life, at class or in practice or wherever? So yes, let's create an inviting culture here at Chaos. Let's invite and welcome new people constantly to Rush and house parties. But let's invite them by taking action to love them. Because if we're seeing them and feeling for them and taking action to serve them, how much more does that invite mean? So here's my challenge this week. Take ownership of your campus. Own where God has placed you. See people, feel for people, and this week, take action for them. Serve someone this week. Talk to someone, make them feel seen and valuable. Encourage someone who seems down. Sit with someone who needs a friend. Help someone with their homework, or someone who may have fallen behind. Stand up for someone who needs it. And then, after we've taken action for them, after we've helped them and served them, after we've loved our neighbor, then let's invite them. Then, can we invite them to Rush next week? Can we invite them to come check it out? Let's take action and love our neighbor, then invite them. And I don't know, let's make September's Rush the biggest Rush Chaos has ever seen. All because a group of students took ownership of where God has them and loved the people God has placed in their path. We can flip the spiritual climate of Camden County Schools. We can change things. And not because we're amazing, but because God made us for this. He wants to use us. He wants to use you. So let's be a generation of students who take action. Let's start owning our campus and living in a way that Chaos really becomes a movement. And then let's celebrate as God begins to use a bunch of students to change Camden County Schools.